Hello, everybody. Uh, John Tapp here again. My friend Tara in New Zealand is doing a pilot project and where she's using several different methods in Mooses and Procoder and Lily. So I thought it'd be a good chance to do a demo for her, not only for her but for the general public about how to use Mooses for various things. So in this first video in this series, I'm going to do probably three. I'm going to do a live collection with Lily with her code, and I'll show you how to set that up. So the first thing I've done is set up a code file. She sent me a Word file that I'll show you that had the basics of what she wanted to code, duration and frequency codes on this first page. So I entered codes in here. I want to bore a video with entering, but basically you double click and you just enter it or paste it in, each one at a time. And I made up codes for these. Note that the code is shorter than the description. Also, to make a Lily file for collecting, which is what I'll cover first, you want to fill out these other columns over here that tell it where on the screen in Lily to show up and what the label in Lily is going to be. And I kept them a little shorter than the descriptions, but still descriptive, so the observers would know what they are easily. And you'll see why in a minute. We have a frequency group here that I made group 0, and those are just a drop down. You pick or type the number. And the other are mutually exclusive, exhaustive. That means that none of them can be on at the same time, and they cover the whole time. So, like for example, in this first group, which is about where they're located, they're going to be in one of these 4 places. And in the groups tab, you want to tell it what the groups are about. So in this group 1, I have location. I have that's a duration group. You can say group or level interchangeably. So that's how I set up the code file for this. And then we want to make a Lily file. So it's best to keep the Mooses file, for the study, and then the Lily file for historical reason is slightly different. So I'm going to save that as in the Lily format, and I already have one here, Lily live code.code. So I'm just going to save that and overwrite it. Yes. Okay. So that's how I set up the codes, and then so the first step is learning how to observe. So I'm going to launch Lily for you. Lily data collector. In the preferences, you want to go and pick that code file. This is the preferences box in Lily. So you pick the code file. It's already picked, but I'll pick it again. lilylive.code. Also in preferences, for this we want just event mode. We're just collecting events. You can change the button size in the screen here, and you can also change the button font if you want. We don't want multiple participants on. We don't want any of that in this. So for just straight event duration and frequency collection, and the only other thing you might want to change is your session duration, so that'll tell the observers the time's up after they start. So that's set correctly, and you can see that I made 4 columns. The frequency codes are here on the end, and then these other columns are mutually exclusive, exhaustive event or duration codes. So I've got that set up. I'm going to pick a new file. Might as well use the same file name I did when I'm testing. So I'm going to save that if I want to replace it. And when you name your files, you want to name them after who collected them, the subject, whatever you need to know in the file name so you can identify them. You also want to come up with file names that can't ever be the same, because you don't want to overwrite things by mistake. So come up with a file naming convention that has the information you need just from the file name to know where the collection came from, who did it, which subject it is, and so on. You can have fairly long file names, but keep them as short as you can. Put numbers in them to indicate things in different sections of the file name, or dashes or something like that. So, but for now I'm going to use lilytest.txt, and I'm going to replace that. Yes, the header line, you can put anything you want. The default is it puts the date and time in. This can be useful for grouping data later if you want. You can also use the file name for that, and I'll show you that in a minute where that comes in. So now if you pay attention to the bottom, it says set initial state and start the timer. So if I'm watching the kids and they're outdoors and they're doing TD play and they're alone, which may be not possible, but anyway, you want to set the state and then start the timer. And there's a timer box, but I prefer to keep it out of the way and just turn it off in the preferences and just use the timer start. You can use the timer box if you prefer, but in the preferences you can turn that on. Let me do that real quick. Oh, so it's shown. Okay, it's somewhere. I don't know where it went off to. Anyway, the timer box has a start button on it. I'm going to start the timer here on the menu, and then you see the time ticks away here. We're doing times in seconds. You can set the preferences to do times in tenths of seconds. Just gives you, if things are happening really fast, you want to do that. So if they change to indoors, it's going to record that. If they change to large group, it's going to record that. Say they change to ENGT, you want to do that. And if these frequency interaction things happen, you want to just click them when they happen, and you see the counts there. Okay, so if I just kept doing this, when the 600 seconds was up, it would say your time's up, time to save the file, you're done. So, but I'm going to go ahead and, for the sake of time, I'm going to save this and close it. Okay, so we've collected a data file just for testing, and I'll show you what it looks like. And this is the file, this is the folder where I'm keeping Terra stuff. The lilytest.txt file is here, and it's to show you what it looks like. It's the code, comma, time, and then it ended at 52 seconds there. So to analyze that, just the basics of it in Mooses, I'm going to drag that into Mooses right here, and you can drag as many as you want in here. And just for this first pass, I'm going to say the output is a text file, and you want to create a text file to put it in. So I'm going to pick that, and I'm going to clear it because there's probably output in there from my testing before. So that clears the output file out. So there's test read on the analysis down here, and you can just run that if you want to make sure it reads it correctly. It usually will. Another aside is if people want to edit their data, like they made a mistake, they can edit this file, and that's fine as long as you keep this format. And there's a fix button that'll put the word fix in there to tell them where an edit needs to be made. Okay, so I've got Lily in my file pool to analyze. I'm just going to run a frequency real quick. So I changed it to event frequencies and durations, and I'm going to run that analysis. And you notice the test read's still up here, so if you don't clear the output file, it just adds on the end. So this is how many of each code that I hit each time. And this is the duration in seconds of each thing that I was in. So in this set, I changed this quite a few times, and you can see the percentage of time they were in each thing. And that's good to have, and these are the frequency codes, and it tells you the percent of frequencies that it was, but there's no duration to them, so there's NA there. But just to continue the illustration, I'm going to tell it that it's a comma separated file, so we can look at, if we had a bunch of files here, we probably want to build a database of the outputs, so we can do further analysis on it later. So I'm going to run that just to show you what it looks like. And you can see the file name gets in there, and then the header gets in there, and you can parse that apart if you want to label things. It's nice to know that you can put any other things in there you want. So those are the frequencies of IN, the duration of IN, and so on. If you had multiple files in that list, they'd all be down below here. So you can use this file and save it as a real Excel. It's comma separated now, but if you save it as real Excel, then you can put formulas in it and paste onto the end and copy your formulas down if you're going to do rates or whatever you want to do. And you can ask me about that kind of thing, but I just want to get through the basics on this to get people started, get Terra started. So that's the basics of how you do a collection and a simple analysis. I'm not going to save it. And Moose is with the Lily collector. In the next video in this series, I'm going to cover Procoder, and then in the third video, I'm going to cover Procoder doing an interval coding in Procoder. So that's it for now. We'll see you next time.